You know how sometimes there's that one movie you just can't shake from your mind, even years later? Like you watch it, you love it, and when it ends you're left thinking, wait a second, where's the next part? Where's the sequel that should have been made ages ago? We've all felt that way at some point. And honestly, it can be frustrating when Hollywood seems to forget about the stories we care about the most. But here's the thing. Vin Diesel feels that exact same way. And not just about any movie, he's still out there fighting, pushing, and promising that the sequel fans have been waiting for is going to happen. He's not just talking about it. He's working behind the scenes to make it real. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Hollywood is full of rumors. Every week there's talk about some big sequel or reboot that never really sees the light of day. But this time feels different. And I'll tell you why. It's because this isn't just a studio tossing around an idea. It's Vin Diesel himself. And if you know anything about him, you know he doesn't give up when he wants something. This guy has built his career on passion projects, on believing in stories even when nobody else does. And once you hear how far he's gone to make this sequel a reality, you'll start to believe that it's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. So let's take a step back and rewind a little. Because Vin Diesel? He's not just the guy who made Fast and Furious a household name. He's been in the game a long time. And one thing about him, he's always believed in fighting for projects he loves, even when studios weren't exactly lining up to hand him the green light. Think back to Pitch Black. Remember that little sci-fi movie? Nobody thought it would take off. It was small, it was different, and honestly, the odds were stacked against it. But Vin saw something in it. He believed in the story, he believed in the character, and he believed that audiences would connect. And guess what? They did. That little movie turned into a cult classic, and eventually, it gave birth to the Chronicles of Riddick. That's the kind of determination we're talking about here. Vin doesn't just show up for a paycheck. When he connects with a story, he goes all in. And that brings us to the sequel he's been fighting for, because yes, it's Riddick. The fan-favorite anti-hero with those glowing eyes that can cut through the darkness. The character that fans still talk about, still quote, still ask about. For years now, people have been saying, when are we going to get another Riddick movie? And Vin? He's been right there with them, saying, I hear you. I want it too. Here's where things get tricky. You probably already know how Hollywood works. Studios don't always jump at projects just because fans love them. They want guaranteed box office gold. They want superhero franchises and billion-dollar universes. And a dark, gritty sci-fi movie about an anti-hero surviving against impossible odds? That's not exactly what Hollywood execs see as a safe bet. But if there's one thing we've learned about Vin Diesel, it's that he doesn't back down just because something looks tough. He's been meeting with writers, brainstorming with directors, and dropping little hints to fans online just to keep the hype alive. He's kept the conversation going. He refuses to let the story fade away. And honestly, that's half the battle. Because here's the truth, sometimes persistence is more powerful than anything else in Hollywood. You've seen it before. Think about Deadpool. That movie didn't happen because a studio believed in it right away. It happened because fans demanded it. It happened because the people behind it refused to give up. And look at the Snyder cut of Justice League. That wasn't supposed to exist. But fans spoke up, creators pushed, and eventually, it got made. And that's exactly what Vin Diesel is doing right now. The difference is, he's not just an actor pushing for a role. He's both the star and the fan. He loves Riddick as much as the audience does. And that kind of passion? That's powerful. Now here's a fun little detail you might not know. At one point, Vin Diesel actually used his own money to buy the rights to Riddick. Yeah. He didn't want the character to disappear into the background of Hollywood's vault. He wanted to make sure Riddick could live on. Think about that for a second. How many A-list actors do you know who would dig into their own pockets, just to make sure a character they love doesn't get lost? That tells you everything you need to know about how much this means to him. And here's the kicker that makes this story even more exciting. The script for the next Riddick movie? It's already done. Can you believe that? Not half-baked, not just some rough outline sitting in a dusty drawer, and definitely not just an idea scribbled on the back of a napkin during a late-night brainstorming session. No. It's finished. Complete. Ready. Vin Diesel himself has already said that the next chapter, titled Furya, is written and waiting. That means this isn't just a dream floating around Hollywood anymore. This is real. It exists. The story is there, the pages are there, and all that's left now is the. And when you think about it, that changes absolutely everything. Up until now, you might have thought this was just Vin teasing fans, just keeping the hope alive without anything solid behind it. But the fact that there's a complete script on the table flips the whole situation. Because now, it's not about whether or not this story exists. It's not a question of if the idea is strong enough or whether there's even something to work with. The story is already sitting there. It's about timing. It's about when the right studio finally steps in. It's about when Vin himself decides, okay, this is it. Let's roll cameras. Let's bring Riddick back. And you know what? If history has shown us anything about Vin Diesel, it's that he doesn't let go once he's got a story in his hands. He's stubborn in the best possible way. He doesn't just move on because someone tells him no. He digs in deeper. He pushes harder. And time after time, we've seen him take projects people doubted and turn them into realities. That's the kind of persistence that makes you believe Furya isn't just sitting there collecting dust, it's waiting for its moment. And when the moment comes, Vin is going to make it happen. So let me throw this question back at you. If Vin Diesel does bring Riddick back, are you going to be there opening weekend? Can you picture it? The lights go down, the theater gets quiet, and suddenly that familiar glowing-eyed anti-hero steps back onto the screen. Would you be one of the first in line, popcorn in hand, grinning because after all these years, the story is finally continuing? Or maybe you're on the other side of it. Maybe you're thinking, you know what, Hollywood should focus on new ideas instead of revisiting old ones. And hey, that's a fair thought too. There's always room for debate. But that's exactly what makes this so interesting. It's not just Vin Diesel's passion project. It's a conversation between him and fans like us. It's about what we want to see, what stories we want to return to, and whether the nostalgia and love for a character can be strong enough to pull a franchise back from the shadows. And speaking of that conversation, you know what's fascinating? This isn't the first time we've seen something like this happen. There have been so many movies that almost didn't exist, so many sequels and reboots that only came to life because fans refused to stop talking about them, because actors or directors kept the fire alive. Sometimes Hollywood listens, sometimes it doesn't. But when the stars align, when the demand is loud enough and the passion behind the project is strong enough, miracles happen. That's why I made another video diving into those exact stories, about how fan pressure and relentless determination revived projects that everyone thought were dead. Projects that the industry had shelved, projects nobody expected to see again, and yet somehow they found their way back. And trust me, once you see how that unfolded, you'll realize why Vin's determination with Riddick feels so powerful right now. That video is linked after this one, and I think you'll really enjoy it. But before you head over there, let me just pause for a second. If you've been hanging out here, enjoying this little movie chat, take a moment to hit that like button. It really does help. And if you want to keep up with these kinds of stories, these behind-the-scenes, what's next moments in Hollywood, then subscribing is the easiest way to stay in the loop. That way, when updates finally drop about Furya or any other long-awaited project, you'll be among the first to know. And hey, don't just keep this to yourself. You've got that one friend, you know the one, who still randomly drops Riddick quotes in everyday conversation. The friend who grins when the lights go out and always jokes, "I shine, baby." Send this to them. Share it with them. Because if you know that person, you know they've been waiting just as long as you have to hear news like this. Because here's the bottom line. Vin Diesel isn't giving up on this sequel. And if he's not giving up, then why should we? The story is still alive. The passion hasn't gone anywhere. And the script, it's sitting there, finished, just waiting for its chance. All that's left is for the world to finally catch up. And if you ask me, that moment feels closer than ever. So maybe the question isn't, will Riddick return? Maybe the real question is, how soon are we going to see him again? And something tells me, we won't be waiting forever.